गजाननं भूतगणातिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम् आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् आर्तानामार्तिहन्तारं भीतानां भयनाशनं विशतां कालदण्डं तं रामचन्द्रं नमाम्यहम् रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पते नमः। कुजण्डं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीके मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को न याति परां गतिं गोष्पदीकृतवारीशं वशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामाला रत्नं वन्देरिलात्मजम् अंजनानन्दनं वीरं जानकीशोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्. Hanuman, the powerful son of wind god, again addressed himself to Sita and said, वानरोऽहं महाभागे दूतो रामस्य धीमतः रामनामाङ्कितं चेदं पश्य देव्यङ्गुलीयकम्. वानरोऽहं, I am an ape, Mahabhage, O fortunate, O lady of good fortune. I am an ape. Duto Ramasya Dhimata. I am the messenger of the sage Rama. Ramanama Ankitam Chedam Pashya Devyanguliyakam. Here is the ring of Rama, with his name embossed in it. Please see. Here is the signet ring of Rama with his name in it, which I have brought with me in order to convince you. It was given to me by the mighty Rama himself. Be comforted, my lady. Your sorrows are at an end. She took it. Gritva prekshamana sa bhartu kara vibhushitam bhartar vivasam praptam janaki mudita bhavat. Grita prekshamana sa. She took it in her hand. What is it? Bhartu kara vibhushitam. Something which had adorned the hand of her husband. And when she took it in her hand, it fell to her, Bhartaramiva sampraptam. Rama was here. And in that, Mudita Bhavat, she was overjoyed with that in her hand. So as we saw, Hanuman, this is the last thing he did. He gave the ring at end. He didn't open the conversation with Sita by giving the ring. This is who I am. This is my gate pass for entry. He didn't do that. He didn't come with a letter of introduction from a powerful person. He talked. He consoled her. He set it up. There were many things he did. Here was a lady who was going at the point of taking her own life. And at that point, when she was taking her life, she was making a final prostration to Rama and to Lakshmana and to her father and to noble family that she's been born, etc. And from that, she had to be slowly brought up out of that to a point where he could now leave her and go and do the rest of the assignment that he had come for. We saw the great mind with which he had thought through this thing. He even firstly thought, should I meet her or should I not meet her? Should I speak to her or not speak to her? If I don't speak to her, what is the issues? If I speak to her, what are the issues? All that he has thought through. In Valmiki Ramayana, he does not give the ring straight away. He talks this through. And at the end, when she is totally turned, she is convinced, etc., at that time, as a final thing, he says, this is the ring. Other versions of Ramayana are there, where when first itself he gives the ring, where he is sitting on the top of the tree and he drops the ring down and it will fall in front of her and she says, oh my God, where did it come from? But not Valmiki Ramayana. We do not have enough wisdom to say this is better or that is better. Because we have not experienced the Rama story as they have experienced. As Tulsidas has experienced, as Kamban has experienced. So, Anguliyaka Pradhanam, the ring was in her hand, and Antarama Dikshidhar says that in the Ramayana narration tradition, Angulika Pradhanam is considered, the day on which Angulika Pradhanam is narrated is considered to be a very auspicious day. It's a very special day. Now, on that day in our tradition, apparently, I spoke to his great-grandnephew again and I checked with him what did they used to do on that day. So the tradition is that on the day of Angulika Pradhanam, the stage will be decorated with flowers. Some dharmishta will take upon himself or herself that task. Entire stage will be decorated with flowers. The Rama Pattabhishekam photograph or whatever will be garlanded. And in those days, somebody or other will also give a ring to the speaker. So, for instance, his nephew, that is the Antaram Dikshidhar's nephew, Ramurthy Dikshidhar, whose son I spoke to, so when he was telling this in Ramayanam in Vedaranyam, it was a 5-hour session. That day, they were telling for 5 hours. And when he had come to this particular verse of Angulika Pradhanam, Vanaroham Mahabhage Duto Ramasya Dhimata, suddenly something dadam hit him on his head. Like some stone or something hard. So he thought somebody's thrown something at me and all that. He is shocked. He stopped for a while, he says. And he looked in front of him, what is it? Who hit me with what? Then he found in front of him one ring, over 1 pound. He says, gold ring. He looked at it and said, if this kind of stone is being thrown at me, I am willing to be thrown for several stones. It doesn't mind if my head starts bleeding also. Which is the Dharmishta who has done me this favor. So one gentleman got up and said, you must forgive me, Kshamikadam and all that. But I keep hearing from you during Ramayana that when you feel like doing an act of dharma, do it, don't postpone it for 2 sentences later or even 1 minute later, you may change your mind, etc. At this point of time, I thought I should give this to you, so I threw it on the stage. Unfortunately, it hit your head. So anyway, so coming back here, Antaram Dikshidhar says that there is another story, Karna Parambara story, which you hear you hear from what is called the birds. They tell you the story. You don't hear from authentic bards and books. But it is there. It is there in the air and it has been being told by bird to bird, generation to generation. And if you know the language of birds, you know the story. So there is a story apparently about Rama and Sita were apparently, this was when after marriage, etc., those 12 years, when things were good. So Rama knows Dharma, Artha, Kama, different times of day, right? So he's doing all that. So afternoon is the time for Kama, so to say. So after day, by the afternoon day, the king's job is done. I mean, they start very early in the morning and then all that is done. Afternoon, they rest for some time, then evening. Rest for some time with Sita. That time they chat also, they fight and they do all kinds of things. So apparently Sita was making a, the way they say in Tamil is much more colorful. She made a pan, petal leaf for Rama. They were very close to each other and then one fine day apparently she said, from now on, I won't touch you. We should not touch each other from now on. We are fully now for Shiva Bhakti alone. And there is some Pasuram where some mention is made of that, where warrior picks on a phrase and explains that phrase with great power. You must understand what is this. What this meant. Those days. And she was chill. She was very proud of that. She could make it really well. And she would look for that approval in Rama's eyes when she gave it to him. Nicely made. Rama knew it. So he didn't show any particular emotion when he took it and ate it. She was a bit cross. And in her own way, she communicated to him that it's like insensitive of you. I mean, been made with such a thing. So he said, no, it's your family type of people, you know how to make this. They come from Surya Vamsha. They're not into that kind of thing. So she said, what Surya Vamsha? I come from Chandra Vamsha. Surya Vamsha, you can't even see a risal go. Chandra cools. It's beautiful to see. They bring happiness. What do? Big Surya Vamsha. So what are you talking? I was born. After 12 months my mother carried me, then I was born. I was in the womb for 12 months. Tapasya, Yagam, then 12 months my mother carried me, then I was born. Not like you. He said, don't say that loudly. Somebody may start broadcasting it outside. As such, Garbhavasam is papam. On top of that, you have been extra few months in Garbhavasam. Why are you going around talking, tom-tomming something which you should not be? Then Rama thought that now she has licked me in this argument. So he said, that's okay, but you see, whenever I go out and meet anybody, they keep asking me about my mother-in-law and I don't know what to say. Like that it went on. Then they got very cross with each other. Apparently I said, I'm not talking to you. And that grand bed in that huge royal room of theirs, the one corner Rama turned that side and slept off. This corner she turned this side and she slept off in the afternoon. Then when the sleep was over, without turning, he went off for his work. She also proceeded. Next day afternoon, they came. I mean, they have to come. I mean, that's a part of the routine. So after lunch, etc., they both came to the room. And Rama went to his corner of the bed, turned that side, and he lied down. And she went to her part. She turned this side, and she lied down. No words were exchanged. But dutifully, the 1 hour or whatever, they spent on that same place, but not one word was exchanged. They didn't look at each other. Next day, like this, 4 days they slept in the afternoon without. 2 days they slept without nothing, not looking, etc. Third day again they were like this, and Rama apparently looked behind slightly to see what she is doing. She didn't even turn. She was not even looking this side. She just slept off that side. The 5th day, Rama came slightly earlier than Sita, and he took off his ring. This ring, which Hanuman has brought. He took it off from his hand and quietly went to that side of the bed where Sita was used to lie down, and somewhere that side he hid it, like that he put it, and he went down to his side of the bed and slept off looking at that side, his own side. She also came, she lay down. Then after some time Rama said, "Where's my ring? My ring is not here." He looked at her accusingly, "Where's my ring? My ring is not here." She had spoken, so she had to say something. She said, "What do I know where your ring is?" "I don't know where your ring is." He said, "But it was there in my hand when I came after lunch." "It may have been there. I don't know." No, what do you mean you don't know? When I was sleeping, you took it out of my hand. Just because your father gave it to me doesn't mean you can take it like this. So yeah, I haven't touched you, I haven't turned towards you the last 5 days. Where is the question? I know. Where? I didn't even see you. Why would I touch you? Why would I even take that ring? How dare you say this, etc. She started. He said, no, it's lost and it's not with me, and you are the only other person in the room. Nobody else is allowed to enter. Where is it gone? Etc. So they said, okay, we'll search, etc. He said, you search your side of the bed, I'll search my side of the bed and all that. She found it. It is here. Confused. It's here. She said, it's there. Where is it? And he came and he caught hold of her hand. Oh, and all that. Then it united them again. So this story the birds saw from the window, they have been telling their further generations. So this ring which helped to unite them after this little lovers' quarrel that they had those years ago, it all floods her mind again when she sees it in her hand again now. And she feels his very presence with him at this point in time. So this is one story that Antaram Dikshner says that Periva Chalua, others, they tell of this story in Anguliyaka Pradhanam, and much joy in these and other stories that they talk about.